Hi, hello. Welcome to kind of another brained up video thing I have. Uh, Recently, I promised myself and to ask a friend to kind of like keep me, I guess, in check to make a new video every week, and it's 2 days from the deadline, and I was planning to have this slightly more elaborate drawing video of me doing a little manga of me, like essentially one of those hashtag relatable artists thing. uh I thought I was gonna have a fun little punchline, but I'm just, it's funny how like just one really bad panel, you put a lot of effort into it, not even that much effort, just a moderate amount of effort into it, just makes you lose motivation a lot. Plus I stopped recording partway through, in terms of the sketching, because I just wanted to maybe just do it for the inking. But then it's like, no, that wouldn't make sense. People would want to see the sketching. I would want to see the sketching, but I already sketched like 3 pages of it, and then it was just like, okay, I can't undo that. Now I'm gonna have to redo that, and it's just, eh. So that video idea is just scrapped, and like the promise to myself is just any video a week, like not just like an elaborate video or something like that. I just want to get in the habit of making videos, because I always try to keep doing that at some points of times where I just try to make videos, and I get consistent with it for a little bit, but then I just end up dropping off of it because of, I ended up like beating my own motivation into the ground. I mentioned this before, but like one big problem I have with just trying to stay motivated or trying to do things I want to do, things I'm constantly inspired to do, is that I ended up being so self-critical of myself that I ended up beating it into myself mentally and metaphorically, how just I shouldn't be allowed to do it because it's just bad. And I listen to a lot of critiquers, people who are generally really smart, or at least I find like smart or have like nice informed opinions, and they and that like and they always have really good video presentation. They always have really good stuff like that. And even for the people who are not like that, they just have good presentation. They have good video quality. They have good production. Uh, it's kind of a similar issue I have with manga and with my art, where I just compare myself too much to the people who I want to be like, to the point where I'm not allowing myself to grow and make mistakes and stuff like that. And I'm always adamant when I tell people like if you're making mistakes, you're going to be better than people who don't make mistakes, because once those people who don't make mistakes start making mistakes, they don't know how to handle it. While people who do make a lot of mistakes know how to handle it, know how to adapt to it, know how to learn from it, and be even better and have better confidence. And since I had that idea of that, I must be very critical with myself. I shouldn't be that guy on DeviantArt who says, "Well, it's just my art style," and just not ignore any criticism. I didn't want to be that person, even if I felt like I really wanted to be at times. And honestly, I should have been to a certain degree, because like I would have allowed myself to make more mistakes. Yeah, it would have taken a little bit longer for me to like admit to them and properly learn from them. But once you do, you learn really fast. But I didn't allow that to myself, so I held myself to a too high of a standard I was never reaching, not even close to, and thus I'm essentially paralyzed when it comes to drawing. Like, yeah, I can still draw things I'm generally good at or still enjoy, like faces, characters are becoming way more comfortable for me. But dynamic poses, complicated hand stuff, backgrounds, environments, actually drawing a manga, uh, I just don't do that because I already build it up into my head that I can't do that. And the same thing has happened and is continuing to happen with video making. I have to realize that I'm still at square one, possibly not even on the board yet, while everyone else is doing like these great stuff. Like, I forget what it is. I think It's either Odd Ones Out or Jane Animations are like a year younger than me, or I'm as old as them. Uh, which is weird because like I'm always so used to these big YouTubers with elaborate productions, or I wouldn't say their animations are elaborate productions, but they're high effort productions with this clean aesthetic and stuff. And it's just I'm nowhere near that, and I have to stop comparing myself to that. But obviously, I'm human. I do that, and it's like, and they even mentioned before that you shouldn't compare to people around your age or even younger than you who are significantly better at you. And it's really hard to take that advice, even though how much it would make life so much easier if that was the case. Trust me, it would make it so much easier if I can just stop at certain things. Uh, Being human sucks a lot. And as you know, I have additional problems on top of being human since I'm autistic, which just sucks even more. I guess it's like the perfect saying is sucks to suck, I guess. uh so I'm kind of like stuck in this like state of trying to push forward, trying to get out of my comfort zone that I know is sustainable. Because one of my biggest problems is that I'm not very sustainable out of my comfort zone, no matter how much I try it. This has been the case with work. My very first job was at a grocery store nearby, and it was slightly fancier than the normal grocery store. The prices were pretty much the same. It's just that it just held itself to a higher standard. And it felt like all the worst parts of school, all the worst parts of a job I was trying to avoid in life, an office job, and things like that, where it's just like this suffocating environment where it's like school was barely sustainable, arguably not even so, because like during my senior and junior year, like I legitimately almost dropped out of my own volition and will just to avoid the stress and mental issues I was having with it. Like I guess that you wouldn't say that of my own will, but also with problems I had with school. And like even to this day, age 22, I still say it's a waste of time. Like it is legitimately a waste of my time after middle school, because after middle school I did not learn very much that was something I didn't already learn or soon learned after and verified through the internet. And it has caused more mental issues for me. If anything, like I have met one person who I would consider decently dear to me, who's my friend, who is I asked to kind of like occasionally like ask me if how my videos are going more often, just so I feel more obligated to do them. I guess the like to act as my double check. It's not as serious as that, but it's like, you know, just like someone who would keep tabs on me essentially. I find if I'm reliant on someone else, like if someone's looking forward to something, I tend to be more motivated to do it, even if I don't particularly like them. I still feel that sense of obligation, you know. And since they're a really good friend of mine, they're the like one of the few things, if not one of the only things, that I'm happy that I even went to high school for, just to even meet them. But yeah, it's just like if I'm outside my comfort zone, getting back to that, school is barely sustainable at all. And in that job, it made me realize, like, I always knew that around high school that I wasn't going to outgrow my autism. Like that was not going to happen. That is never going to happen. But there was always like this vain hope for me that it wouldn't matter. Like, oh, I can still do the normal people stuff, like have a grocery job that people hate to have, and get the full retail experience of a job. And it was almost kind of exciting to have like a crappy job, because it would have made me honestly feel more normal. But damn, I could not last more than 2.5 weeks. I quit 2.5 weeks in because in elementary school there was times where I just straight up had tantrum tantrums. Like I used to flip desks. Like that is something I actually did. And I haven't felt that feeling since like 5th grade in middle school until I started to work there. That was the first time in years I have felt that way. Almost like, yeah, 8 years. 5th grade was 2008 for me, so, and that was mid 2016. 8 years was the first time I felt like I was having a childhood tantrum from how upset and suffocated I felt. It was a horrible wake up call, punch in the gut feeling I had. And I believe I even told this story before on this channel. I don't remember. I might have then deleted the video, then made another video about it, then deleted it, whatever. But essentially, like, I felt like that. I felt like that. It was a horrible feeling. It was so bad. And it really just made me realize that my autism is like a disability. Like, I always considered it, oh, it's the reason why I can't make friends normally. And that was just kind of like the main thing that was stuck in my head. That I was just quirky, weird, and most people don't usually like that. But I never really accepted truly what would be the physical consequences of it. Like, what it would be, how it would actually affect me into adulthood. I just assume once I started being an adult, I had a job, I can just now be more practical with my life. I knew there were still going to be issues, tribulations, and just generally obstacles everywhere, like with any adults, but I just didn't think it would hit me that hard in that realization of how much it actually affects me. And I've been unemployed for about a year and a half now. Like, I just look, it's June 2019. I've been unemployed for a year and a half now since I left the I'm pretty sure I'm never going to be able to use some of the references anyway. I used to work at a sandwich chain store in the Northeast called Jersey Mike's, which was the last place I used to work at, and I was laid off from there from completely my own faults. The more and more I think about it, I would say it's like, I used to say 20% their fault, 80% mine. I'd say it's more like 10% theirs, 90% mine. Check back with me in a year and a half, it'll be 100% mine. That was an issue of me trying to like really put out any issues I have and trying to make myself the least bother possible. So I did everything I was told, barely complained about things as I was told to them. I still have my complaints and stuff like that, and I still questioned a few things, but it was mainly like, oh, go clean this, oh, do that, oh, do this, do that, do this, and I'm like, okay, I'll do that, I'll get it right away. Like, at most, and most defiance I have been is just like, hold on a second, this person told me to do this first, I'm still in the middle of doing that, and that has slightly more urgency. And sometimes someone would get kind of pissy with me because of that, but it was just, trying to juggle stuff. And a lot of the issues with the job was that a lot of things kept getting bottlenecked, where like the back proceedings, usually back of the house stuff usually changed. A lot of things would get bottlenecked because of like what corporate wanted compared to health standards. Stuff requires us to do different things in different ways, or we just have new stuff that we have to do and things like that. And it's not really their fault, really. That's why I'm saying it's 90% my fault, because whenever I did complain about the bottlenecks and explain why this is an issue and why that's an issue, why I can't keep up with the general work pace after all the changes, they were able to change for me. They were able to help adjust things, and everyone helped, pitched in to make things more efficient, and remove bottlenecks or remove a responsibility I had, or it technically go against what corporate wanted at one point, which is like to rack bread really late into the night. And we said, let's push it like 30 minutes earlier, because it technically doesn't matter, like because racking bread got pushed back like an hour, and that was like after I personally fixed a lot of bottlenecks with my own just sheer force of I don't want to complain, so I'm just gonna try to work as fast as I can, which really pissed me off, because that gave me enough time to do whatever I wanted, essentially, for all that optimization I did. And now all the end day chores were backed up and clogged up now, and just the bottlenecks now reversed, and it's just like, that was fun. But again, whenever I did mention these bottlenecks, they adjusted. But since I was so defiant, and not defiant in terms of being a good employee, but defiant in terms of being a bother to someone, I did not want to be that. I did not want to be the new guy who complained about things. I worked here for almost a year, like about 10 months. And we had some new recruits who were like really good at their jobs. They were like fantastic workers. They were just fantastic people. They were really nice, good, kind, and they just knew how to work. Like, they were good. They were good at what they did. And since I was technically their senior, I wanted to not be the asshole who complains about shit, So that just made me shut up even more, even though that should have been when I've been talking, and maybe even show a bit of seniorship, like, oh, this is how you fix a bottleneck issue, kiddies. This is how you do it in a nice, calm fashion. But I didn't even consider that. Because, again, I didn't want to be a bother. I felt like if I complained, I would just be the bad employee who doesn't want to work, who has too much on his plate, when in actuality it's a super easy job, and stuff like that. It also didn't help that one of the managers weren't the nicest to me. Like, he wasn't mean. Like, he wanted shit to get done. He was very practical. But since, again, I wasn't communicating to him about my issues, he didn't know what was going on in the back. Because if my job is done perfectly, they don't notice anything. It's one of those literally invisible works. I'm literally behind them the entire time, not looking at me, since they're dealing with the customers in the front. So, if I'm bad at my job, of course they're going to notice, because that's going to back up all the work in front. That creates a bottleneck that shouldn't exist. So I had to be good at my job, and I was good at it at the start. To like not to toot my own horn, I was apparently one of the fastest dishwashers to work there, which the only other faster person also left a couple months after I joined. So I was technically the fastest dishwasher. I was one of the fastest workers. I think I was the fastest bread racker, like just straight up, even when I first joined. Which was pretty funny, because when I first did bread racking, I was like, okay, what do I do now? It's like, oh, have you finished racking bread? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, wait, seriously? And they checked my work. It's like, damn, you did that really fast. And I'm like, yeah. And then I just kept getting faster. That was like one of the few things I was like really happy with myself with that job, and it made that part, like, that was my favorite part of the night, actually, when it's like, oh yeah, we get the rack bread. because I got in the rhythm to it. Like, it's like, grab bread. I had my own box set up for all the breadstick boxes, and I racked all the bread and stuff. It was nice. Until they changed it several times, which made the process a pain in the ass for a while, until they realized, okay, we don't have to do half of that. We only have to do this other half. And I'm like, okay, then it's actually easier than it was before. I could tell more stories about that in another video, but it's just like, there was things I was good at, and even when they laid me off, like, one of the like nicer managers, because we had like multiple like assistant managers and a main manager. Like one of the assistant managers told me specifically that they're gonna miss how fast I like racked bread and stuff like that, and how like fast I did dishes. Because I was, even when I was falling behind everywhere else, I was still the best at those two other things. So it's like, I wasn't a completely garbage employee. I was good at certain things. But the things I weren't good at was the things my disability is for. Is my social skills, my communication skills, and shit like that. So, yeah, that was fun. I said sarcastically. And I haven't had a job since. Like, I was laid off at the top of 2018. Like, beginning 2018 just marked my unemployment. And I haven't been the wisest about spending money, because I didn't really have that much saved up anyway, and I just mainly spent it on video games. And that's like another thing I just want to talk about. It's like, it's just things I also want to do. It's like, I don't want to just create manga. Like, one of my initial goals as a child was to join up with Nintendo and make video games, until partway through middle school, like beginning middle school, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be serious about this. I'm gonna learn like how to make a video game and stuff like that. And I looked it up, and I looked it up in extreme detail. It was both simultaneously fascinating and a horrifying realization that I can't do half of that shit on my own. And it was really, really bad, because I always thought like, oh, I would just need to hire voice actors and some artists and stuff, and like that's all I would need to help out with workload. And I realized, oh, there's a lot of people who make a video game. Like, even back like in the PS2 era, there was like over 100 people who make a video game, and nowadays it's like it's getting damn near 1,000 people making a single title. And it's just like, damn, that's a lot. But of course, indie game development is very big nowadays, but I don't know how to code. I tried learning to code several times. Still probably will sometime in the future, but because of my lack of language skills, specifically with grammar, that affects my ability to learn coding. Because guess what coding is, kids? Grammar incarnate. With a bit of math. Well, lots of math, but grammar incarnate. And that's just... not the best. So yeah, so that's something I gotta be dealing with. That I did not deal with. That's actually partially one of the reasons why I got into manga specifically, because one of the main things I really wanted to do with video games was tell stories. That was when at the same time I was getting into RPGs. It was the same time I really got into Persona 4, like only like a year or two later after that. And it was like, I really wanted to tell stories, and even when I was a kid, I always wanted to tell stories. I also wanted to make cartoons, and later anime and manga and stuff. And after doing a lot of research about manga, how it's primarily made by one person with few assistants, I did the math in my head. I'm like I can make a decently paced series in terms of something that I could be satisfied with. Like, I could probably make like 10 pages a week easy, if I just learn how to do it. Just like every work day, I just draw 2 pages and I still get a weekend and stuff like that. Where maybe during the weekend I still have to work with storyboards and stuff like that. But I can have a decent job like that, and that's something I still want to do. And now I just I could have spent so much time just making crappy manga, and I would have gone so much better, so much faster, if I actually just did that. If I one thing I always will say about getting better at something, just do it. Just do that thing. Want to get better at a video game? Just play that video game a ton. Want to get better at drawing? Just draw. Draw the things you want to learn, because that's how you learn. Want to make video games? Download Game Maker, Unity, and just throw some stuff together. See what works. uh, with making manga, just make a manga. Doesn't matter if it's bad, just do it. And I used to make little comics all the time with printer paper, and it was like so fun. I used to make little comics about Mario and stuff like that, like all the time. Like even before I knew Mario missing was a thing, I made a little comic about Luigi trying to rescue Mario because I thought it was so clever with that. Turns out someone already beat me to the punch with a crappy educational game. But yeah, it's just, it's just, I used to do that, but then I got critical. I got smarter, not smarter, smarter, with a either an E or a U instead of an A, and I just didn't do stuff. I just didn't do anything aside from practice. Practice is important. But I was doing the wrong practices. I wasn't doing the thing I should have been doing. And because of that, I just wasted a lot of time. And then, some cost fallacy fell in. And I'm like, well, I wasted this much time, so I might as well be even more demotivated and just not do anything. And that's just kind of been a state I've been stuck in. I either beat myself to submission where I just don't believe I can even do it, even though I'm just trying to practice, even when I'm practicing, even when I'm trying to practice environments and perspective and the buildings and stuff, like, oh, I'm already so bad at it, I'm not gonna get good. It's like, what do you think you're doing this practice for, me? So demotivated, beat myself in submission, or it's just a bunch of smaller other things that just distract me, or it's just like I'm just trying to keep myself from just not exploding. Or sometimes, like, I've pretty much given up on job searching a lot of time, if I'm gonna be honest. I've just given up on that for now. I'm definitely gonna have to start looking again soon. This cannot keep going, like, honestly. Like, I know that, and like, my family is generally pretty considerate when it comes to, like, letting me stay here and stuff like that, not charging me rent, thankfully. It's just an overwhelming sense of disappointment in myself. I try not to have pride in anything, even when I'm happy with stuff, even though when I'm good at something, I try to throw away pride because it doesn't get me anything. But even then, I feel like I have crushed pride. I feel like I have a measured amount of disappointment in myself. Because I see what I could have done, and I imagine what I could have done. A lot. I imagine a lot of things. And that's something that is very hard for me to stop doing. What if I said this? Maybe I could have had more friends. Maybe if I did this, maybe I could have kept my job at Jersey Mike's. Maybe if I did this, maybe I could be really good at drawing manga now. Maybe if I did this, maybe I could have actually learned how to code. Maybe if I did that this way, and just, the past is past, and that's something I have to remind myself a lot of. Even if it's cathartic to think about what ifs and how good life could have been and stuff like that, that's not going to help me now. And even imagining things, like, I'd imagine where I am, like, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Sometimes, like, I even think about what I'll be when I'm at my deathbed. Would it be soon? Would it be late? Would it be when I'm 80? Would it be when I'm 40? What happens when I'm 40? What happens when I'm 30? What happens when I'm 25? I'm already 22. Like, I'm halfway of my life in my 20s. I'm a quarter way from my life expectancy. Like, and the average male lives roughly to be 80 years old. I'm already a little bit past that, a quarter. It's like, it's scary stuff I think about a lot, and that is gonna help me now, and that's why I want to start making videos every week, because I want to be doing something. I want to be doing something that is pushing me forward. Even if it's something crappy like this vlog, I'm not gonna edit it. I'm just gonna throw up on YouTube right away, overnight. That's gonna be 30 minutes long, late at night. Like, this is something I do legitimately want to do. I'm just not allowing myself to do anything about it. It's like my biggest issue. Like, I'm just not allowing myself to do what I want because I don't believe I would be worth of anything. And I want to change that. I really do. Like, it took so much mental force just to even make this vlog. Just to make this. That's why I had to do it at like 12:54 a.m. I was gonna originally just try to find a game to play until I feel like I'm gonna pass out of sleep like I've been doing the past couple of nights. Probably the reason why I had bags in my eyes. Yeah. Oh. So yeah. So I'm just gonna make any kind of content, anything that comes to mind, really, because I have like these sticky notes on my wall and computer. Like, this one says, "Make things for yourself first. No sunk cost fallacy issues. Things I want to do that I have started. Two of the same, actually, now I realize. Things I want to do for art videos. Things to keep going. Various notes about things that, so I have no excuse not knowing how to do. Yeah, sometimes I make notes on like index cards. This one I used for colored pencils and stuff, for swatching. But anyway, yeah, my voice is getting tired. Yeah. Expect whatever comes to mind, I guess. And yeah, I'm gonna just end the vlog now and just upload this.